Hi everyone, welcome back to Active Mindfulness. As always, I'm Gemma, I'm a psychologist, CBT therapist and mindfulness teacher. And today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the 7 attitudes that mindfulness can help us cultivate. So these 7 attitudes were suggested by a guy called Jon Kabat-Zinn, who really was a bit of a founder of the mindfulness approach that we know in the Western world today. So the first of the attitudes that we're trying to cultivate is an attitude of non-judgment. We're trying to take a stance where whatever we experience is what we experience, but we don't have to put an emotion on it. So for instance, if we notice our mind wandering, we notice our mind wandering, but we don't have to add a level of frustration or anger about that. We just simply notice it. The second attitude that we're cultivating is an attitude of patience, letting things unfold naturally in their own time. And this can be really difficult when you start practicing meditation because all kinds of emotions like frustration or boredom can come up. The third one is beginner's mind, which is this idea that we can come to our experience as though for the very first time. So when we are in a mindful place, when we are mindfully eating or mindfully walking, we're really tuning into the experience as though we've never had that experience before, as though it's for the very first time. So if you imagine yourself mindfully drinking a cup of tea, you're tasting it as though you're someone who has never tasted tea before, really tuning into that experience. The fourth attitude is the attitude of trust. So as we practice mindfulness, we're slowly developing the ability to trust our experience, to trust in ourselves and our feelings and our response to them. The fifth one is an attitude of non-striving, which often feels quite uncomfortable for people. We are used to striving. We're used to wanting to do one thing after another in this kind of endless pursuit of goals. But meditation doesn't really have a goal other than to be with the present, to be with whatever comes up in that non-judgmental way. So one of the things that you might notice with mindfulness practitioners is rather than set goals, they often set intentions, which is a little bit like a goal, but it's more about how you want to be than what you want to do. So it might be more about developing a particular attitude or developing a particular way of being in the world, rather than a goal where there's a kind of set outcome. So the sixth quality is an attitude of acceptance, of accepting what we find within ourselves and within our experience when we find it. We generally spend quite a lot of energy trying to push away the things that we don't like and trying to hold on to the things that feel pleasurable or that we do enjoy. And in doing so, we cause ourselves an extra layer of suffering that we needn't have had. So as we develop acceptance, we get better at seeing the difference between what we can change and what we can't. And we stop fighting with the things that we can't change. The seventh attitude is an attitude of letting go. So this is basically an attitude of letting things be just as they are, of letting go of how we think they should be or how we want them to be. And this can be really hard when you start meditation, particularly if you have an idea in your head of how it's going to be, that it's going to clear your mind or that it's going to help you relax. It can be really hard to let go of that expectation. But in being mindful, we open ourselves to whatever is here. And that means that some experiences will be how we want them or how we like them, and others won't be. So these are the 7 attitudes that we are cultivating during mindfulness. So next time you have a practice of mindfulness, perhaps be aware, be aware of one or two of these attitudes and just notice if within your practice, if that's something that is there or something that you're working on or developing. Okay, everyone, take care and I'll see you next time.